Thank you for joining us on this episode of Is This Thing On? My name is Mary Weiss, and I'm here with Camille Tweeten. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining me. So Camille, right away, what do you do at Vern Eide?
My title is HR Generalist, and I've been in that department 3 years.
Okay. What does an HR Generalist do?
I get to help onboard new employees, as you experienced how many months ago?
Yeah. 6 or so.
Mine's kind of been a conglomerate of things that I've done before, things that my predecessor Bonnie did, some things that Mike maybe did when he was here before he moved, and some of the stuff that I did before. So mine might not be a generalist role in the normal sense, but administrative a little bit, touching base with employees as they need to, getting to see the new hires, and that's the fun part. I like that.
Very nice. How long have you been at Vern Eide?
Over 18 years.
Over 18 years, wow. What did you do prior to what you're doing now?
Prior here or prior to Vern Eide?
Well, both, but prior to what you're doing now.
Well, I worked at Camille Sidewalk Cafe.
Oh, okay.
I was their first employee.
Did they name it after you?
We like to say that. No, they didn't. Just saw my name in font, needed a job. And so went in and asked and got the job. Was there for almost 3 years and then came here. I was in reception for 10 years.
Okay.
Head receptionist for most of that time. And then I was in the in-house leasing department for 6, and then HR.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Through your different positions within Vern Eide, do you have a favorite?
No, because I've enjoyed each one.
That's
There's been good variety. The nice thing is as I've grown, I've gotten to try new things. Mm-hmm. So that's been perfect. I've enjoyed that. Yeah.
What's the hardest part of your job?
Maybe sometimes it feels like a whole bunch of things coming at once and wanting to take care of them all, to take care of everybody, and you're just kind of go, ah.
Yeah.
Sometimes the tough conversations, but hopefully we can make a difference when we're having those tough conversations as well. So
you mentioned that some things have carried over. What are some of those things?
So some of the things that have carried over from when I was in a receptionist role. So we've had ID Accelerate for, I think, maybe about 14 years. Okay. Wasn't on the starting committee, but was on several of the committees at the beginning, and have carried that through. And then I feel like there's something else, but the Christmas party was another one of those. Okay. So those are 2 examples of things that have carried through.
Okay. Are you still doing the Christmas party, or?
I get to pass that on to Jody. Okay. This year won't leave her hanging, but I think I've done it for about 7 years. Okay. So that's okay to pass it on.
Time for a new person responsible.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you get, I personally make these jokes to you a lot, but do you feel like you get the, is this HR appropriate joke all the time?
Yes, I do. There's a few people that say it in general too. Makes me laugh.
I always laugh, and I'm always like, I wonder what is actually or not. Because sometimes I feel like I like to test the limits a little bit. How did you get started at Vern Eide? So I know you said you were at Camille's before, but how did you get here?
So it was cool. We had, there was a group of people that would come in for breakfast at Camille Sidewalk Cafe. And the gal's name was Michelle Kahodik. And she actually worked, I think, for Brown and Sanger at that time, or had been, and offered office supplies to Vern Eide. So she was their rep. Okay. And she happened to know that I'd been looking for about a year. I was exhausted with food, and as much as I enjoyed it and the owners, it was just time. And so she knew of the opening and suggested it to me. And I don't even remember how, if I just put in my resume or whatever. But yeah, so.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Do you still eat at Camille's?
I do.
Do you have a favorite thing on the menu?
Well, if I could still eat the paninis, I love the paninis. Okay. I do like the tuna salad, which I do a lot. I love the 3 cheese scrambler. I do enjoy the pizzas, and I love the wraps. The chicken California wrap is probably one of my favorites.
Very nice. I would always get the Mexican Daredevil.
Yeah, you like spicier?
Yeah, I do.
I don't.
My friend told me to try it, and she was gluten-free, actually. She's the one who brought me there. Yeah. And I was like, this is so good. So every once in a while, I just get a craving for it.
And We used to do, back behind the counter, we'd make the chocolate chunk cookies.
Oh, yeah?
And as soon as they were warm, we'd pull them out and put some whipped cream on them. That was the best way to have it.
Yum.
I can't quite ask for it that way anymore, but...
Hey, can you give me this little
Yeah.
special treat that we had? So I worked at Famous Dave's, and every once in a while, one of the cooks would put the bread pudding, he'd like put in the deep fryer and then like serve it to all of us. It was so good. But yeah,
That
it's one of those
sounds good.
things where you can't like go in and be like, can I have it this way?
No.
And it was just a random occasion. He'd be like, hey guys.
That's fun.
So,
Don't you wish you could remake it at home?
Mm-hmm. So good, but definitely not the healthiest thing ever. So maybe it's a good thing I can't have that all the time. Are you from Sioux Falls or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Went to Harrisburg growing up, just lived outside of town.
Okay.
So,
very nice. What does your family consist of?
I have a mom and a dad who live here.
Okay.
And then my sister is 3 years younger. She's lived in Montana for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's just us. We have a foreign exchange student that we still call a sister. We had her for 6 months in our house.
How long
in
ago
high
was
school.
that?
That was like 90, 91. So.
Okay. Where was she from?
Finland.
Oh, fun.
So.
How did you get involved with the exchange program?
By a fluke. She was a friend of ours, and the host family that she was staying with moved.
Oh, okay.
And she needed some place for the last 6 months, and it was a God thing. We got to have her with us. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we sometimes say we have a third sister.
Yeah, I had German exchange students
Oh,
throughout high school.
fun.
So it's a different bond, but it's so fun. And it's fun having that connection too. Have you gotten to visit her ever?
We have not. Should do that sometime. She's been back a few times, so we've gotten to see her. So.
It'd be a fun experience.
Yeah, it would. I know.
And have her show you where
Yes.
she's from and stuff. So very nice. And then you're married, correct?
I'm married. Yep.
Okay.
10 years.
Very nice. Kids? Pets?
Nope. No kids. He has got neurofibromatosis, which is NF for short.
Okay.
It causes tumors at the end of nerve endings.
Oh, wow.
And so it's genetic. Didn't want to pass that on.
Yeah, that's
and so
fair.
we're content on loving a whole bunch of other people. We've got some goddaughters, help out with youth group. So
many ways to share love other ways, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
do you have pets or anything, or just
we don't, not yet. We're not.
yet?
I'm not home enough.
That's
and I'll be
fair.
the one taking care of it.
Yeah,
So
that's a big commitment too. So okay. When you're not at work, what do you enjoy doing?
I enjoy hanging with friends and family. I love to play games with said friends and family. I enjoy reading. If I've got the time, I'll pick up an easy read, historical fiction. Randy likes to collect antiques, and so we'll go to like tractors, farm memorabilia, stuff like that. I could care less about going into an antique store, but I go with him, and I started collecting the old Nancy Drew books because I read those. So if I only have a 2-hour window, I'll pick up a Nancy Drew book and read that. So something light. Otherwise, I don't mind books that help me grow, stuff like that.
Very nice. So you said you like to play games with your friends too. What kind of games do you play?
We've got one couple that we play Pandemic with.
Okay.
Not so fond of the name, but it's a collaborative board game. So you're all working against the board, which I love. And they're really good at it. It's a complicated game. I don't know that I could play it on my own. So I do enjoy playing that. Grew up with cards in our family, so enjoy playing Royal Rummy, other forms of cards. Randy and I will play Skip-Bo, sometimes King's Corner, 5 Crowns, sometimes Farkle.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Do you like doing puzzles too, or just games?
I do. I don't do it as often because I don't have a good place for it to sit out, and I usually don't get it done all at once.
That's fair. Do you feel like you're pretty good at puzzles, or?
I'm fair. I like the ones that aren't so hard that you just can't tell. I had somebody give me one once that was all frost on a window.
Oh, fun.
No.
See, that sounds so fun to me.
Yeah, you could. If I still had it, I'd give it to you. No, it was not my type.
I kind of relate this back to my old job I had. I had a manager who we loved puzzles, and so we would talk about puzzles. She got it one as a gift, and she was crying and called her sister, and she's like, I'm not having fun. Please don't do this again. She said there was all these weird shapes in it, and I'm like, that sounds so fun to me.
If I get something like that, I'll just pass it on to you.
If I
like
have
this
one,
somewhat hard, but not that hard.
Okay. If I find one that I'm like, it's not super exciting, I'll just start like a puzzle exchange or something.
My parents said that when I was like 3, I put them together upside down.
Like on the back side, like the cardboard side up?
Yeah. I can't picture that, but Just a funny story.
Genius, a little toddler
It
genius.
had to be the 6 puzzle one, the 6-piece puzzle one.
That's so funny. There's an all white puzzle. I want to try it. It's all white.
No.
And then there's like an all clear one too. I think it sounds so fun.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Have at it.
Just had to know that.
Good for you.
I feel like I finally get to the point where like I'm done.
Yeah.
Box it up and call it quits. Okay, so you like to read too.
Mm-hmm.
If you were given the selection, would you pick book, movie, or
music?
There you go. Book, movie, or music. There we go.
Maybe music.
Okay.
More just because I listen to so much, in the background or while I'm getting ready, and I can take that anywhere versus a book.
Yeah, it's a little harder.
Might be
You have to
a hard
dedicate
call.
the time.
Yeah.
What kind of music do you like to listen to?
I like worship music, contemporary Christian to some extent, but mostly worship, and a lot of instrumental.
Okay.
I like just a lot of calm music in the background.
What do you find is something different with working at Vern Eide that you haven't gotten elsewhere?
Probably the family aspect, I'm guessing. I've had some good jobs. I've had some good variety in my jobs that I've enjoyed. But probably that and the way we give back to the community and the passion for it.
Very nice. Is there a certain project or way that we've given back that is your personal favorite? Or it has kind of been a connection to you?
No, I think I love most of what we do. And I really love how at our last staff meeting, Maggie shared about some of those. Because some of them I wasn't quite aware of. And I loved the gamut that we have supporting in different ways. So
absolutely. What is your why? What motivates you?
So first of all, and I'm not going to say my faith because I think it's not about my faith, but it's the fact that God is my God. That's probably the number one. But in it ties people and growing as a person. Somehow it feels connected for me.
Yeah.
I enjoy people and I enjoy making a difference. And that's tied to that. And I feel like the more work I do on myself, I can make a greater impact.
Okay.
So
very nice.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. What is something that somebody may not know about you?
I was going to say, I know a bit of sign language, but there's enough people here that know that just because I've helped out just a little bit. It's rusty. I did think about becoming an interpreter. I took 3 classes in college.
Really?
Yep.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Northwestern College in the cities, which is now Northwestern University.
Okay.
Came back one summer, did those 3 classes at Southeast Tech. Maybe would have continued, but I just didn't want to be at Southeast Tech. I wanted to be at Northwestern.
Yeah.
So I went back at Northwestern. So I can't think of what else people don't know about me.
That's definitely one that I didn't know about you.
Yeah.
Was it hard to learn sign language or?
No, it was not. And I enjoyed it. I grew up with a little bit of a history. My mom had a friend who was deaf. She'd had sign language classes. I worked with 2 deaf people at my first job. And so there was some history and passion there. At 51, I feel like I'm having a harder time interpreting what I'm seeing. I can maybe sign a little bit better than I can read it and interpret it. So I sit with the deaf community at church just because I know a little bit. And so it's fun to see them. I just kind of go when they're signing because I can't think it through. So then easy to learn.
Yeah.
I think maybe I should consider taking some more classes, and I'd be curious what it would look like as 51 years old.
Yeah. That's wonderful. I've definitely actually looked into a couple different community and sign language classes. I think, so I used to serve and I worked at a bank and I had a couple different customers or people that come in, and I thought you're in this world, nobody can communicate with you, and it's such a sad thing. It really opened my eyes. I learned how to take orders and greet people. I mean, I didn't learn much, but it was just there's one gentleman who came into the bank, and I felt bad because he'd always just come in and then he would just sign, can I have a pen, essentially, and I would always hand to him, and then I'm that was kind of that realization point of nobody's even greeting you in the way. I mean, obviously we would smile or wave or whatever, but it was just, yeah, it was just very eye-opening of like you go from day to day not really communicating with people effectively. I mean, you try, but yeah, it was enough to make me realize like, hey, there's so many people who would benefit if I could just learn something.
Yeah.
So
their eyes light up when they know that you know sign language, even a little bit. So, and their question is always, how did you learn sign language? So
I'm always curious of it because I know every once in a while I meet somebody who knows sign language and I want to know how
so if you do it, let me know so we can practice together.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I'll be your speed.
That'd be fun. I would love that. Okay, so I have a couple of random questions I printed out. Some are from online, some I made up as well. So they're listed 1 through 65. So I'm going to let you pick numbers and I'll ask you the question.
Oh my, okay. 65, let's
65, all right. What is the silliest way you've ever gotten an injury?
I do really well at running into things.
like your head or your hips or just if there's something
probably
there,
my
you're
head.
gonna hit it. Okay.
So when I was receptionist, I was also backup cashier at Honda. I definitely we had a guy, Jim Miller, who was in the service drive, and I remember him just going like this. I could see his face because I was walking toward him, but I almost ran into a car door. Yeah, and I've walked into things, and I just have to laugh.
Is that why you mentioned like peripheral vision?
Maybe.
Peripheral vision. Okay.
Maybe.
That's all connecting now.
Yeah. I'm like, actually, but that's straight on. So no, I just
you're just focused on something else.
Something else
within your surroundings. That's funny. Okay. Another number.
13.
13. What is your claim to fame?
Doing this.
So if you see her in public, you can ask for an autograph.
Yeah. Otherwise, I suppose maybe working at Camille's, just because I had so many people. Do you own it? And the owner said, well, you can tell them yes. I mean, they were kidding me.
Did you ever do it? Did you say yes?
No, I couldn't. But they always said that if somebody was standing there asking. So
that's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
it. It's kind of fun working at a place with your name on it.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Wonder, it must have been the same for Vern, right?
Yeah. I'm sure. Except for he literally did
work here. Vern, yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of funny. So I'm thinking about like a name tag, even if it just says Camille's, and it's like, what's your name?
Camille's. Well, it's funny when I go in there now and they want your name for the order, Camille, and then there's one cute kid, and he'll just look at me weird, and then he'll take his hat off and just set it down. I mean, he knows how to do it. He's just dramatic about it.
That's so funny. Yeah. Okay. Another number.
7.
7. Okay. Which unconventional animal do you wish you could have as a pet?
Well, when you're little, you think about a koala bear. You know, just because they're so cuddly, and then you get the stuffed koala bears. So
Aren't
maybe
they
that.
mean?
Well, I think they are. So I mean, I don't know that I'd really want one. and then I had a huge stuffed Wilby. Did you ever see the Disney movie with the Shaggy Dog? And the guy would turn into a dog, and I ended up, I don't know where. Gave it away after a while. Huge Shaggy Dog. Mm-hmm. Shaggy Dog would be fun, but that's not unconventional. It's just Shaggy. I think you should ask me another question.
Okay. Give me another
I don't even know what I'm going to answer that.
My dad's neighbors growing up, they had tigers.
Did what?
They had tigers.
Ooh,
I have a ton of pictures of my dad with like little tiger cubs. Yeah,
no, that would be fun to see.
And it was someone like in town here. I don't know how long they had them or what, but there's a ton of pictures of my dad in his neighbor's house. With tigers. I can tell you the name, but I don't know if they're supposed to have them.
You're right. I saw a picture on Facebook recently where somebody was feeding a bear grapes. And I'm like, okay, that's a little bit scary because, I mean, the bear was right there. And as soon as he wasn't feeding him, he was nudging him and stuff. And it looks cute, but...
I feel like, so, I mean, I go back and forth because, I mean, like, personally, I'm a huge fan of the circus. But, like, you look at these animals that build that relationship. I mean, like, any animal can turn on any. I mean, even my cats every once in a while will try and bite me or something. But, like, I feel like they have that bond. I feel like bears are super smart, too, where they have that connection.
Yeah.
So maybe if they raise them from a young enough age,
maybe.
it's not as bad.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite animals. So I feel like I have a little bit of, like, oh, they're so sweet.
I mean, if it... unconventional, all I think about is what they are.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem feasible.
Yeah.
But if it was feasible and safe, maybe a bear.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Next number.
41.
41. Let's see here. Okay, pick a different one. Why are pizzas usually round? Who wrote that?
But I gotta tell you, the funniest thing in college, you guys can still look it up. 99 ways to order a pizza. I don't know what happened. We were in the computer lab, old, first computers. Mm-hmm. And I got an email with 99 ways to order a pizza. And I don't know how late at night it was, but I was laughing so hard.
I'm going to have to Google that now.
Go Google it and then tell me what you think.
Okay, so on the topic of pizza.
Yeah.
What do you call, I'm trying to ask this without like giving away or like making you think of it, but like there's pepperoni, there's Hawaiian. What do you call that, if that makes sense? Like when you, oh gosh, okay, so I was in Deadwood and we were driving by and there's a sign that says 17 flavors and it was a pizza shop. Would you ever describe a pizza as a flavor? Like how would you describe? Toppings, okay.
Types, yeah.
Okay.
Interesting that they call flavors.
Yeah, I just...
Have to be like ice cream.
I feel like there was maybe ice cream there too, but maybe they just didn't advertise it very well. But yeah, ever since I'm like, how do you describe a pizza? And I didn't want to ask you, like, what do you call the types? Because then I felt like that was the answer to it. Okay, sorry, that was...
So what was the question?
Why are pizzas round, usually?
Have you ever Googled that?
I haven't. Honestly, this is a Google, like, I took half of these questions off of Google, and then I, like, deleted a lot, and I put in some of my own, but I didn't get through all of them, so...
When we're done, I might have to look at the list.
We'll look that up.
For giggles and grins.
I'll have to look that up, and I'll send you an email with it later. Okay, different number.
33.
33. Do you prefer cooking dinner or going out?
Right now, going out because I feel like I don't have enough stamina. I wish I wasn't so tired. But sometimes that gets old too. Yeah. So growing up, I didn't ever want to cook. Mm-hmm. Wanted to find somebody who'd cook for me. Yeah. He's got one arm. He doesn't do too much cooking. Although when he does a great job. And thankfully, on my own, till I was 40, I got better at cooking. So I don't mind cooking. Mm-hmm. Just harder when, you're working full time and then you get home and you don't want to think about it. So probably eating out.
Do you have a favorite place to go eat?
Depends on our mood. I do love Red Robin. I like Mexican. Randy can take it or leave it. We go to Cracker Barrel quite often. Granite City on Mondays is good. They got cheap burgers. So, okay. Yeah.
Nice. When you do cook, what's your favorite thing to cook? Or what's kind of like you feel like you go to a lot?
Usually meat and some type of vegetable. Pork chops. I'll do chicken. I've got a couple chicken dishes that I grew up with that'll be good with the cold weather. Mm-hmm. Love spaghetti. I wasn't making it for the longest time since I had to deal with the gluten aspect, but now that they've got better gluten noodles, I've made it a little bit more, and I enjoy that. That's probably one of my favorites. Another one that I do in the winter is just vegetables at 400. Okay. Like carrots and celery and tomatoes and mushrooms and something else maybe, and put a little bit of pesto in it and olive oil and seasonings. Good. Yeah. So we'll do that and add some little smokies or something.
How old, or I shouldn't say how old were you, but like how long ago did you find out about your like gluten?
It's been, I was working on my master's, so 3 or 4 years. It's just been kind of bugging me. It's not, I can still have gluten, but I can just tell if I've had too much. So
that's fair. So what has been your greatest day of Vern Eide thus far? There's just been so many of them.
Yeah, right? I don't know that there's one that sticks out. Okay. I mean, when you ask me that question, I think about maybe daily highlights of connections with either coworkers or customers and walking away feeling satisfied because it just gave you a high. Or in some of the parts of my job where it's been more administrative or detail, and it works out and you've accomplished it. You had your tasks for the day and you got them done. Leaving that, I don't know that I can come up with one that really stands out. That's
right. Yeah. It sounds like there's a lot though. I mean,
it is
wonderful.
Yeah. And those moments make you feel good and make glad you're here. So
absolutely. Perfect. Well, thank you, Camille, for joining us. If you do want to butter Camille up as well, she does love some Coffea coffee. I forgot to ask you about that.
You are right, I do.
What is your order for that? That's one I forgot. I was gonna make sure to ask you.
Well, you know what? They have a barista who's come up with some seasonal favorites.
Oh, the lavender, blueberry
lavender was a summer. I went way too often. Now they got, I think it's the Great Pumpkin Patch, and it's a cold foam brew, iced coffee. So good. And last year she made an orange mocha.
Ooh.
Do you remember those orange chocolate?
My uncle always gave those to us as kids.
It tasted like that.
Okay.
She's bringing it back.
Perfect. So you heard it here. Butter her up. Bring her some treats. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Is This Thing On? And thank you for watching.